Here's a harsh truth. Your car won't survive 100,000 miles. Not because it's weak, but because of the things you do every time you drive. Every cold start, every missed check, every habit you thought was harmless is slowly killing your engine, brakes, and transmission. Mechanics see it every day. Cars ruined by routine, not accidents. In this video, we're counting down 17 deadly habits that most drivers do without knowing. And the last one? It's already hiding under your hood. Let's kick things off with a habit that quietly kills more engines than any other. Revving the engine, right after a cold start. It's freezing outside, you start the engine, and out of habit, you give it a little gas to wake it up. That single rev may feel harmless, but it's actually doing more damage than an entire highway trip. Cold oil hasn't reached key parts yet. Bearings, pistons, turbochargers. Everything is running dry for the first few seconds. Revving multiplies stress when nothing's ready. It scrapes away that last protective film left from yesterday. And if the oil is still thick from the cold, it can't flow fast enough through chain tensioners, turbo lines, or valve gears. One impatient blip can do the wear of 99 kilometers of driving, just like that. Over time, this habit shaves off compression, stretches chains, and eats turbo seals. That's why even Ferrari and BMW warn against it. If your car is going to hit 100k miles without needing a new engine, this habit has to go. That was the damage you can hear. But the next mistake? It builds quietly until your engine's already in trouble. Insight number 2. Overfilling your engine oil by just a little. Most people think more oil means more protection, but overfilling your engine, even by half a quart, can quietly destroy it from the inside out. The crankshaft starts whipping the oil like a blender, filling it with air bubbles. Those bubbles break the lubrication film that keeps metal parts from grinding against each other. Foamy oil doesn't just lose protection, it heats up fast and can't cool down properly. That extra pressure also builds inside the crankcase, blowing out gaskets and seals. You might not see a leak for weeks, but by then your bearings are already damaged. It's the kind of slow burn habit that mechanics spot during teardowns. And while draining half a quart is free, fixing a worn out bottom end can cost you $3,000 or more. If your oil line is above the max mark, you've found a time bomb and one of the easiest ways to kill your car before 100k miles. What comes next is even sneakier because everything looks fine until it doesn't. Insight number 3. Mixing the wrong coolant. You might think all coolant is just colorful antifreeze, but mixing the wrong types is like pouring oil and vinegar into your engine's arteries. When coolants with different chemical bases combine, they react. Silicates and acids crash out of solution and form a thick, sticky gel that clogs narrow passages inside radiators, heater cores, and even turbo housings. At first, everything looks fine. The temp gauge stays steady, but inside, heat transfer drops, the pH crashes, and corrosion starts chewing on aluminum parts you can't see, like water pump impellers and intake gaskets. Within months, you've got weak cabin heat, overheating, or a chocolate milk mess under your oil cap. One universal jug at a gas station can snowball into a $5,000 repair. That's why mixing coolant is one of the most quietly destructive habits that can kill a car well before it hits 100k miles. Always match spec, not color. Insight number 4. Ignoring your PCV valve. It's a $15 part, but when your PCV valve sticks shut, your engine becomes a sealed pressure cooker. Blow-by gases that should vent out get trapped, pushing oil past seals, flooding combustion chambers, and turning clean oil into acidic sludge. You won't get a warning light, just mystery leaks, blue smoke, or a surprise oil stain under your car. Left unchecked, this habit wrecks everything from turbo seals to timing chains. Some GM engines have had rear main seals pop after one cold start, all because the PCV line froze or clogged. Many drivers never think to check it, especially now that some valves are hidden inside $500 valve covers. But a quick shake test or idle dipstick check could save you thousands. If you want your engine to last past 100,000 miles, this is one habit that's too cheap and too critical to ignore. Before we move on, hit that subscribe button, because the habits you don't know are the ones that'll cost you most. We'll make sure you're never caught off guard again. Insight number 5. Hauling extra weight wears out more than you think. Every pound you carry around just in case, is quietly eating through your car's most expensive parts. Toss 200 pounds of gear in the trunk, and your brakes now have to work 6% harder at every stop, enough to push rotor temps 50 degrees higher and wear pads out 15,000 miles early. Wheel bearings hate it too. That small load increase cuts bearing life by a quarter, which is why cars with roof boxes and camping setups often need new hubs before 70,000 miles. Even your shocks and springs take a beating, bottoming out more often and wrecking ride height until your car feels floaty and vague. Fuel costs? A 200-pound load can cost you 20 gallons a year, and it's the easiest fix in the book. Clean the junk out. Your brakes, tires, wallet, and weekend plans will thank you. This one habit makes or breaks long-term reliability. You've seen what extra weight does to your suspension. Now let's look at a habit that slowly kills your engine, even when you think you're driving efficiently. Insight number 6. Driving in too high a gear. You're cruising uphill in 6th gear, foot down, thinking you're saving fuel. What you're actually doing is starving the engine's internals of oil pressure where it counts. At low RPM and high load, that thin protective film inside the bearings collapses, and the metal-on-metal contact quietly begins. This habit doesn't blow things up right away. It flakes bearing material into the oil, flexes piston rings, and overloads the flywheel. Turbos, clutches, even diesel after-treatment systems all suffer. And if you've got a modern turbocharged engine, lugging can trigger something called LSPI, early ignition, that breaks pistons before you even hear a knock. The cruel twist? Some cars even encourage it with shift lights or lazy automatic logic, but one rod bearing failure can wipe out a decade's worth of fuel savings. If you want your car to see 100k miles without needing major engine work, downshift every time. Insight number 7. Driving on underinflated tires. Most drivers think a tire looks fine until it's dangerously low, but even being 5 to 8 psi under can quietly drain your car's lifespan and your wallet. Low pressure makes the sidewalls flex too much, turning them into mini space heaters with every rotation. That heat wears out rubber fast, and tires that should last 50,000 miles can start falling apart in half that. But it doesn't stop at the rubber. That extra drag makes your engine and transmission work harder. Your bearings heat up, your fuel economy drops, and even your brake system and catalytic converter feel the strain. The average car running low burns an extra 40 plus of gas a year and loses hundreds more in early tire and hub failures. This one habit, skipping a tire pressure check, can cascade into 1,000 plus in wear. A $15 gauge once a month isn't maintenance. It's damage control. You wouldn't floor it with the parking brake on. So why do this next thing while the drivetrain is still fighting you? Insight number 8, slamming between drive and reverse while still rolling. This one seems harmless, just a quick flick from drive to reverse to back into a spot or rock out of snow. But your transmission sees it as full-blown war. Inside, 2 sets of clutches are suddenly trying to spin the same gears in opposite directions. The only thing absorbing that chaos? Friction materials, fluid film, and hope. Each time you rush that shift while still moving, you're spiking internal temps, cooking the fluid, and shaving life off the clutches. Do it enough, and you won't feel the damage until your car starts taking 5 seconds to engage, or hits you with a $5,000 rebuild. Shops say reverse slam is one of the top killers of automatics after the warranty runs out. All for a habit that saves half a second but costs you months off the road. Just stop fully, count 1 Mississippi, then shift. Insight number 9, driving on fumes isn't saving you anything. If you're one of those drivers who waits until the fuel light's been glowing for half your commute, this habit might be quietly shortening your car's life. Your fuel pump isn't just sipping gas, it's submerged in it for cooling and lubrication. When levels drop too low, that pump runs hot and dry, slowly cooking itself from the inside. Every time you just make it to the pump, you're letting heat, air, and grit swirl through the system. Mechanics see warped pump housings, scorched bearings, and even metal flakes from overheated components, all traced back to running too close to empty. Worst case? Diesel owners have blown $7,000 on injectors and fuel rails because air bubbles got sucked in. Fuel isn't just for the engine, it's also coolant and lubricant. Skipping the gas station until the last minute is a slow, expensive gamble with a 4-figure payout. And if you think that low fuel light is expensive, the next one hides a 4-digit repair bill inside your tread. Insight number 10, the invisible tire drag that's killing your wallet. If your car's alignment is even slightly off, just half a degree of toe out, you're dragging your tires sideways up to 46 feet every mile. That's like running a belt sander across your tread while you drive. The wear happens quietly, but fast. Tires that should last 60,000 miles can cord out at 15,000. It doesn't stop with rubber. Misalignment hammers ball joints, tie rods, bearings, and even your fuel economy. One pothole can bump your geometry enough to cause real damage, especially if you never check it. Most drivers skip alignments because the car feels fine, but modern steering systems mask the pull. And by the time you hear a hum or feel a wobble, you're deep into repair costs. This isn't just about tire life, it's a chain reaction of premature wear that silently cuts your car's lifespan. A $120 alignment can save you $200 in parts before you even realize something's wrong. Insight number 11. The costly habit of riding your brakes downhill. Every time you keep your foot lightly pressed on the brake during a long downhill, your car has to dump massive energy, like baking an entire oven's worth of heat, straight into the rotors. And unlike an engine that cools itself, your brakes just soak it all in. That heat doesn't just disappear. It cooks the pads until they glaze and lose grip, warps the rotors until your steering wheel shakes, and even boils brake fluid, leaving you with a spongy pedal when you need it most. Worst case? Wheel bearings overheat too, and suddenly you're out $500 before you even realize why. Most drivers think feathering the brakes is safer, but pulse braking or just downshifting one gear makes everything run cooler. Car makers literally build that feature in, assuming you'll use it. Riding the brakes feels smooth in the moment, but over time, it's the habit that wrecks everything from pads to your next vacation. Speaking of parts you didn't know you were wearing out, the next one hides inside your gear shift, and your hand is probably on it right now. Insight number 12. Don't rest your hand on the gear shifter. This habit feels harmless. You shift, then leave your hand on the lever. But even light pressure keeps the shift fork pressed against the synchronizer sleeve, grinding away at parts that are supposed to float freely. Over time, you're sanding down your synchros, cooking fork pads, and stressing a system that's only meant to engage for a moment. Drivers often notice their second or third gear feeling notchy or popping out during deceleration. That's usually the start of real damage. Mechanics see bronze dust on drain plugs and polished fork pads in cars with fewer than 50,000 miles, all traced back to drivers who treat the shifter like an armrest. This one lazy habit can quietly destroy a manual transmission, and when synchros go soft or forks bend, you're looking at $2,000 to $4,000 to get it right again. Want your car to last? Shift, let go, and keep your hand on the wheel. Insight number 13. Stop hovering your foot over the clutch. It feels like you're just being ready, but riding the clutch, even slightly, turns your foot into a furnace. Every time you hover there, the pressure plate holds the disc in a constant microslip, which builds insane heat. We're talking 400 to 600 degrees in seconds, hot enough to glaze the friction material, warp the flywheel, and melt the throwout bearing grease. That glazed clutch starts slipping even more, so you press harder, cooking it faster. And while the clutch disc dies slow, the bearing, fork, and hydraulics go first, sometimes before 25,000 miles. One BMW tech quoted $1,800 for a clutch ruined by just urban driving with a heavy foot. Even the owner's manual warns you. Toyota, Ford, Kia, Honda all say the same. No pressure unless you're shifting. Resting your foot doesn't save time. It quietly eats a $1,500 repair that no warranty will touch. Let it go. Literally. We've talked about what happens while you drive. Now let's look at the damage that starts the second you stop. Insight number 14. shutting off a hot turbo engine too soon. If your car has a turbo and you shut it off right after a hard drive, say pulling into the driveway after a spirited run, you might be roasting your turbo alive without realizing it. When the engine stops, oil pressure drops to zero almost instantly, but the turbo is still spinning fast and glowing hot. That heat soaks into the center housing where the turbo's bearings live. With no oil moving, it just sits there, cooking. Within minutes, your oil can hit coke temperatures, turning into crusty carbon that clogs oil passages and starves the turbo on your next startup. You won't see symptoms right away, but the damage stacks fast. Months later, you'll notice lag, smoke, or total turbo failure, and a $2,500+ repair bill. Letting your engine idle for just 60 to 90 seconds after a hard drive gives oil a chance to cool and circulate. It's the cheapest habit you can form to avoid blowing your turbo before 100K miles. The last three are where things get personal. You might be doing one of them today. Let's start with the one that starts corroding your car before you even hit the road. Insight number 15. Skipping car washes is slowly killing your undercarriage. If you've ever said, "I'll wash it in spring," your car's frame, brake lines, and sensors are already paying the price. Modern road salt isn't just salt anymore. It's a sticky chemical slurry designed to cling to metal like soda syrup, creeping into seams and hollow frame rails where it never dries. Underneath, brake lines corrode from the outside in. One missed panic stop can burst a pinhole you never saw coming. Suspension bolts seize, coil springs snap, and control arms rust through from the inside. Subaru and Toyota have both issued full-frame recalls in rust states, proof the damage gets serious fast. It takes just 2 winters without rinsing for damage to start, but drivers skip it thinking undercoating is enough, or that modern cars are rust-proof. They're not, and by the time a mechanic fails your inspection for frame rot, you're already on the hook for $3,000 in repairs no warranty will cover. Insight number 16. Stop ignoring little noises. That faint tick or quiet rattle you've been pretending not to hear? It's often your car's only warning before something expensive breaks. Most of those soft sounds come from parts that are already running dry. Timing chain slapping, lifters tapping, or bearings grinding, just enough to whisper. Ignore it, and those whispers escalate fast. A harmless chirp from a water pump can become a sudden coolant dump. A subtle cam rattle on startup might end in a $4,000 timing failure or melted catalytic converter. Many drivers wait because the noise isn't loud yet, but by the time it is, it's too late. Modern engines are quiet by design, so when something changes, your ears are often the best diagnostic tool you've got. Listening early could save you thousands in preventable damage. Don't wait until your stereo can't drown it out. If it sounds new, it probably is, and it's not nothing. Before I show you the 10-second test that can reveal your engine's future, there's one last mistake people make without doing anything at all. Insight number 17. Letting your car sit too long. Most people think just letting the car rest is harmless, but after about 14 days, the damage quietly begins stacking up. Ethanol in fuel starts turning sour, drawing in moisture and leaving behind varnish that clogs injectors and weakens the fuel pump. Meanwhile, the battery is being slowly drained by background electronics that never sleep. Brake rotors flash rust, pads stick, tires get flat-spotted, and seals dry out. So your first start after a 2-week nap hits dry metal with no proper oil film. That harmless idle you give it? It doesn't even get fluids hot enough to burn off condensation. Modern cars are made to be driven, not parked. 2 weeks of doing nothing can start a chain reaction that costs over $1,000 in preventable damage across fuel, brakes, tires, and electronics. A simple 20-minute drive every week or a $40 battery tender is the insurance your car actually needs. Now, what you've been waiting for, the 10-second test that can quietly predict whether your engine's got a long future ahead or if it's already on the decline. Here's what to do. When the engine is cold, like overnight cold, pop the hood, pull out the oil dipstick, and check the oil's condition and level. You're looking for 2 things: clarity and consistency. If the oil looks like dark syrup but still smooth, that's normal. But if it's thick like sludge, milky like coffee creamer, or smells burnt, that's a red flag. Wipe it clean, reinsert, and check again. If it's well below the minimum line, your engine might be burning or leaking oil, and both are signs of premature wear. Engines don't fail overnight. They whisper first. And that dipstick? It's your translator. A 10-second check can tell you more than a warning light ever will. Don't skip it. Getting to 100K miles takes discipline. and knowing who's trying to take advantage of you. Click over to our next video where we expose 15 mechanic scams that still fool smart drivers.